Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about the Houston Astros beating the Seattle Mariners 2-1. Good win for the Astros to go to 17 and home at 17 and home now, and not only that, but the Astros are 15-6 in their last 21 home games, and their series, their streak right now of 7 straight series at home, or 6 straight series at home without a series loss will continue. The Astros, their series streak of wins, series wins might end if the Astros lose tomorrow, but we definitely won't see a series loss for the Astros. It's either going to be a series tie with a loss tomorrow or a series win, which will be 7 straight series one at home in a row. If the Astros win tomorrow, it will be tough because the Astros will be facing Luis Castillo, and the Astros will have rookie Colton Gordon out. I think Colton Gordon's good, but it's a tough pitching matchup for the Astros tomorrow. This was a great pitching matchup we saw today, since there was 3 runs scored in this game, and that was it. And they were all in the first couple innings, and then innings 3 through 9, there were no runs scored. I want to talk about this offense, though. I don't know what the hell I've watched in the last 2 games with this offense. I think the stats I'm about to read are a little bit disgusting, to be honest. So, Astros in the last 2 games have done a great job of hitting the baseball and getting hits and getting guys on base to the point where they have 22 hits in the last 2 games, 11 apiece. But here's where the stats get bad. Only 5 runs scored in those 22 hits. Only 2 extra base hits. No extra base hits. No extra base hits today. They had 2 yesterday with a Cam Smith double and a Isaac Paredes home run. None today. On top of that, the 2 runs the Astros scored today were because of errors of second baseman Rivas and the error that went to Brian Wu in the first inning. Now, to me, in that first inning, Victor Caratini gets safe at first on a fielding error by second baseman Rivas. To me, I thought that was I looked at that and thought it was a RBI single, but they ruled it a error. And also, in the last 2 games, on top of all that, the Astros are 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position in the last 2 games. That is gross. And in this series, 3 for 20. So, this pitching is absolutely outstanding. They deserve all the flowers they're going to get. Framber Valdez was absolutely outstanding today. Another quality start. That's his 8th of the year. And also with Framber Valdez' 8th quality start, he is tied for 2nd in the MLB with quality starts. I mean, the way he's turned his season around has just been incredible. He threw 101 pitches today. ERA drops down to 3.39, 6 innings. The bullpen followed him and looked fantastic. 3 innings from Sousa, Abreu, and Hader, and they only gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, and the bullpen had 6 strikeouts in 3 innings between Josh Hader, Abreu, and Sousa. They looked amazing. This pitching is some of the best in baseball, I believe. Maybe you could even go to say the best. I don't know if I would say the best, but I think it's the best in this division. The pitching is. It's probably one of the best in the American leagues. It's either the best or the second best pitching group in the American League. But you look at the hitting, and it's terrible compared to how good this pitching group is. I think the Astros batters, their hitting group is one of the best groups in baseball when it comes to getting hits. I mean, they average almost 9 hits per game this year. They are hitting the baseball. They have 3 straight games where they are double-digit with hits. They have 35 hits in this series, averaging almost 12 hits per game in this series. So it's not a question of if this team can hit the baseball. I think if there's anybody that thinks that this team can't hit the ball, I mean, that's not true. This team can really hit the ball, but they can't capitalize. They can't score runs when runners in scoring position. You've seen that in the last 2 games being 0 for 11. So the pitching is outstanding, and this team is outstanding when it comes to getting runners on base, whether, with singles and walks. Although recently, the last couple games, the Astros haven't been as active with walks. Last 6 games for the Astros, they don't have a game where they have more than 2 walks as an offense. Had, for one of the first times this season, 0 walks today. A part of that was because of the great pitching they faced today, and Brian Wu, who gave up a career 9 hits today. But this offense is in these last two games, even though they won today, is terrible. And I think you look at yesterday, how do you get 11 hits yesterday, and it was like one or two walks, and only score, 3 runs. And then today, how do you get 11 hits, and none of them are extra base hits, and you only score 2 runs, and 0 for 8 runners in scoring position. So to me, that's frustrating, but what definitely is not frustrating is the amazing pitching of this squad. Like I mentioned, I think it's one of the best in baseball, and this Astros team can continue to be dominant because of that, but they've got to figure out some of the hitting issues they have. This team, to me, I think can win the division with the team they have, but it's the problem. Like, this team won the division last year, and they lost in the wild card, so they need to figure out how they can add more offensive damage. They need to maybe look for a guy at the deadline who can bring in some spiciness, some guy that can, give you more extra base hits, because this team is great at getting singles. They had 11 of them today, but they need to get a guy and add in a guy. Maybe that's Yordan Alvarez, who's been missing. You've been missing a guy that's going to give you extra base hits. But even this was a problem even when Yordan was in the lineup. So, but I think the pitching is outstanding. If you can get Yordan back, and maybe this team can look to add in one bat at the trade deadline that's going to be an effective bat. This Astros team offensively, if they get Yordan back and then add to the offense with a bat at the deadline, is going to turn into a deadly offense again. But like I said, I just think it's very frustrating that in the last 2 games, you've got 22 hits. You've done a great job of hitting the baseball, but only 2 extra base hits, only 5 runs scored. 2 of those were because of errors today, and also 0 for 11th runners in scoring position. All right, let's go over the game real quickly. 11 hits for the Astros, 5 for the Mariners. 2-1 is the final score. 2 errors for the Mariners, as I've mentioned. 0 errors for the Astros. Win goes to Framber Valdez. He was outstanding. His record was 1-4. He's 3-0 now at this point. Framber Valdez has turned dominant again. His record was 1. He got his first start. He got a win on opening day, and then it was 4 straight losses for Framber Valdez. Sure, in between you've got some no decisions for Framber Valdez in that time span, but there were no wins in between those 4 losses for Framber, and at this point now it's been 3 straight wins for Framber. There might have been a no decision in between those 3 wins, I believe, for Framber, but we've seen Framber Valdez turn into a dominant starting pitcher again. I hope that we've seen the streak of 4 losses, then 3 wins for Framber. Hopefully it's the streak keeps going with wins for Framber, but he's been outstanding, and I think one of the best pitchers in the American League as of recently with what he's done. You look at some of the early struggles, like the game against the White Sox, or the game against the Cardinals, the game against the Giants. There have been some real struggles early on for Framber, but recently it's been outstanding. Loss goes to Brian Wu. The Astros offense were able to give up on him the worst amount of hits he's given up in a game. 9 hits. That's a career high for Brian Wu in hits given up. Now 0 earned runs. Here's the thing I dislike. I feel like he should have been charged for earned runs. If a pitcher makes an error and the run scores, to me, I feel like there should be 1 earned run charged to Brian Wu for the error he made. He made the error. Altuve scored off the error. Walker got to second. That is his, and maybe even charged for the second error as well. Because yes, the second baseman Rivas makes the error and Caratini save it first and Walker scores. But why is Walker on second base? Why did Altuve score? Because Brian Wu gave up an error. I feel like if a pitcher gives up an error, that should be an earned run charge to the pitcher, even though it's an error. That's still his fault. To me, I believe that it should be 2 earned runs for Brian Wu. Save goes to Josh Hader. Man, 13 saves, no blown saves for Josh Hader. 13 for 13 this year. Last year, he was 0 for 1. He blew a save in his first game as an Astro last year, and had at the end of the month of May, there were a lot of blown saves for Josh Hader last year. I want to say last year he had like 6. Now look, it's still really early into the season, but Josh Hader this season has been 10 times better than he was last year, especially this time around last year compared to last year. Like last year, I look in the months of March through May, I look at Josh Hader in the ninth and say, this should be automatic. We should be guaranteed for a win here, but I don't know. And then Josh Hader comes into a game and it's 2-1 this year. I'm like, oh yeah, we've got this in the bag. Game over. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Last year, if the Astros were up 2-1 in a game in April, the month of April or May, and Josh Hader was pitching the ninth, I would be on my knees begging for the Astros to win. So, but it just shows you how much of a difference it's been for Josh Hader this year. All right, scoring summary. Like I mentioned, all the scoring here today was not special. The Astros scored their first 2 runs off of errors. Altuve made a great play, but it was an error for him to score from first to home. It's 1-0, and then I said, I thought this was a RBI single for Caratini, but they gave that an error to Rivas, and it's 2-0. And then even the 1 run for the Mariners, it's an RBI ground out for Garver. It's just not interesting. This was a pitcher's duel, and it's 2-1. All right, let's go to Astros batters. Jeremy Pena went 2 for 4 today, 2 singles. It's all singles for the Astros. Batting average is 296 for him now. Isak 1 for 4. This should have been the one Astros. The one Astros extra base hit today, but this was a hard hit ball for Isak in the first inning, single to left, and he had a lot of power on it, but it took a great bounce to Randy Arozarena, and it was 1-4 after that. Jose Altuve, 1 for 4 single, of course, in the third inning. Made a great play after getting a fielder's choice, made a great play to score from first to home, and he scored a run as well. Christian Walker went 2 for 4. He was the only player outside of Pena to have multiple hits today. He reached on the infield single to pitcher, did not get an RBI off of that play in the first inning. Third inning single to left, Altuve to second. Did a good job. Walker did a good job with Altuve on first base today. 2 hits for Walker when Altuve was at first base. We should see more Christian Walker at bats with Altuve at first base moving forward. The next 2 at bats, Altuve was not there, and Walker went 0 for 2. Victor Caratini went 1 for 3. He singled to center in the 8th inning, was hit by pitch in the 5th inning, and did not get a hit in that first inning, nor did he get an RBI. Now, I'm going to go back to Jeremy Pena. This is Jeremy Pena's first game in the last 4 games that he was not hit by pitch. Was hit 5 times in the last 4 games before this game, but he was not today. That's a good sign. Jake Myers went 1 for 4. Another day of hit for Jake. Single to right in the first inning. His batting average stays the same at 308. Kean Smith 1 for 4 after his first 3-hit game of his career. Single to center in the 6th inning today. Zach DeZenza went 1 for 3, single to center. Chas McCormick came in late defensively. Dubon went 1 for 3 today with a single to center in the 4th inning. But again, it was all singles today. Like I mentioned, the bullpen was great today. Sousa, Abreu, and Josh Hader. Abreu went up to 21 pitches after him pitching the last 2 games, and yesterday pitched a lot. You would think he's not available tomorrow. And then Sousa, you don't know about him either. He might not be available tomorrow as well, because I want to say he pitched 2 innings for the Astros yesterday as well. But he got the inning done in 11. Sousa got the inning done in 11 pitches in the 7th. Got a strikeout. Abreu looked amazing after his bad game yesterday. 2 strikeouts, 1 walk for Abreu. Here's the interesting thing, though. Abreu, he's only given up 5 earned runs on the year and has pitched, at this point, almost 20 innings on the season. And all those earned runs against this Mariners team. Josh Hader did give up a hit in this game, but he did have 3 strikeouts in the 9th inning. The Astros win 2-1. Let me know your thoughts on the game for the Astros in the comment section, and peace out. Go Astros.